I'm going to walk through this row of calves. There's 18, and they're pretty special, and I'll tell you why in just a few minutes. Now, what makes these calves special and important? Well, there's two reasons. Number one is they are naturally hornless. They were born pulled. That's the term used for hornless. You can breed for it. Calves without horns means you're not debudding, dehorning, whatever you want to call it. You're not using the caustic paste. You're not using a scoop, and you're not using the hot iron. Now, all three options, they do cause some discomfort. But the caustic paste is the least painful of any of them. You do it within 12 hours to 24 hours after birth. And you shave the head, find the horn bud, put the chemical on, and the calves, even though it might be uncomfortable, they don't have the instinct to rub it off. So, if you're going to dehorn, paste is the best way to do it. But personally, I'd rather just breed for it and not have to do any of it, period. It's an animal welfare issue, and right now we're in the global market where the consumer has a lot of say in how we do things and how farmers run their business. For better or for worse, it's how it is. Some of the stuff I don't agree with, but some countries out there now, the dehorning practice has been banned, and I think that's wrong. People have been hurt, people have been killed by cattle with horns. They've done it to each other. Cows, they have their own social behavior. They will establish who's dominant and who isn't. And, I've seen them, they fight with each other. They use their heads, push each other around. If they have horns, I've seen them, in the past hurt each other with them. So horns, they can't be there. Here in the U.S., people have a choice of whether you want to breed for polled or not, so that's our choice. But I'm trying to stay proactive, stay one step ahead, so I'm trying to prevent horns from even existing in the first place. The consumer has power. Over the years, we've gotten rid of BST. We've also got rid of tail docking, which scientifically was proven it's not needed anyway. But BST was safe, and tail docking did help keep the cows and the environment a little bit cleaner. But I'm kind of happy those two practices are done away with. Now, as far as polled breeding is concerned, if the consumer wanted to have a say, they would have to push that, hey, the U.S. dairy herd, we need to make these animals born without horns and then breed them polled. And, it can be suggested, but like I said, it's still our choice whether we want to breed for polled or not. Now, there are genomic indexes out there that are used for breeding purposes, and if the polled gene was heavily weighed in the genomic index, and breeders would be more inclined to use them. I've bred a few already. I've set one bull to a stud. His name is Penn England History, PP, which means he's homozygous polled, so every one of his daughters are hornless, and I'm milking about 20 of them right now, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now, the second reason these calves are so important and special is I've been exclusively breeding for the A2 gene the past year and a half, almost 2 years now. Now, you're probably wondering what A2 is. You've seen the commercials, A2 milk, and why it's important. Well, I'll put it this way. Cows have a protein in the milk, A2A1, and there are some scientific studies going on that suggest that the A1 protein itself is what's causing a lot of people all this discomfort, bloating, gas, that kind of thing. When historically people were found to be lactose intolerant, but a lot of people who claim they're lactose intolerant, they're self-diagnosing, but it may not be the sugar, the lactose in the milk, it could be the protein. Now, in comparison, cows carry A1 and A2. Humans, goats, and anything else, sheep for that matter, they all carry the A2 protein. And if you heard people say they can't digest cow's milk, then you hear they have no trouble with goat's milk. Another thing I'm thinking about too is, when it comes to the lactose intolerant, a lot of these people, they, claim they can't drink milk, but they have no trouble with ice cream, yogurt, or extra cheese on their pizza. So that's kind of another red flag. But there are some people, there are lactose intolerant. They can't handle either any dairy product, whether it be cheese on pizza, yogurt, ice cream, or milk, fluid milk. And I guess if you think you might be lactose intolerant, or maybe you could be intolerant of the A1 protein, I would highly suggest you try the A2 milk. And if you can handle A2 milk, then you're going to find out that, hey, it's not the lactose that's causing the problem, it's the A1 protein. So what I've been doing is I've been breeding, like I said, exclusively now for a year and a half, A2 milk, because I think this is pretty important. This should also be a consumer-driven index. It should be in our genomic information, so people breed for it. I mean, it's a no-brainer. In the 1970s, compared to now, the consumption of dairy per person has plummeted. But of course, back then we have, several million less people compared to now, so how it evens all out, I don't know. As far as the U.S. dairy herd is concerned, I think every animal should be bred to carry the A2 gene. I didn't mention this earlier, but the A1 is actually a mutated protein. And if it's mutated, it's probably really not even necessary to be there in the first place. So, within 3 generations of breeding straight A2, you can have an A2 herd. So that's kind of what I'm working at. At this point right now, there's no real incentive to have A2 milk. Now, I do know some small co-ops, they do pay a premium for A2 milk, so you have to test your cows, which is usually a $10 test or $5 test, depending on whoever does the testing. Testing for A2 to see if your cow produces A2 milk is actually pretty cheap, so it's reasonable. But like I said, it needs to be included in the genomic index. It needs to be pushed by the studs. Hey, let's breed all of our future sires to carry the A2 protein, so we get an A2 dairy herd in the U.S., which I believe is really important. Like I said, it's a no-brainer. If that's what it is, takes to increase consumption, that's a win-win for everybody. People get to eat dairy, they get to enjoy it, and we get to be paid for what we produce. So I believe that consumers would appreciate it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my little presentation on polled breeding in A2. Hopefully you learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I'll reply to any reasonable comment. If you're one of those animal-hating trolls, you can go fuck off, because, don't even bother to comment, because I'll delete your comment anyway, so don't waste your time. No one's going to see it anyway, so screw you. Anyway, I want everyone to have a great afternoon. Get ready to get out of here now. These fucking gnats are driving me nuts. That's why I've been here waving my hands around the whole time, and I'm ready for a few beers, so until next time, have a great afternoon. Milk. And lastly, pardon the swearing, part the silliness, but my Tourette's is kicking in. To sit here and talk for 10 minutes is really, really hard to keep myself under control, so you can imagine how fun I am at a party whenever I have no control and I just let myself go. So have a great afternoon, everybody.